What is up, guys? It's J Raj here with the 2020 Visions podcast. On here, we go over a ton of different stuff, whether it's Marvel, whether it's movies, shows, WWE, video games. We discuss it all, and we always try to see the vision for these movies and games, make predictions, and just have a bunch of candid discussions. So if that's your thing, tune into this because it's going to be a banger episode. There's a lot of things that have happened in the past couple weeks. The Spider-Man BND trailer finally dropped. Daredevil Born Again Season 2 started. WWE is heating up with the road to WrestleMania. And Marvel finally released the name for the Punisher special presentation. It's titled Punisher One Last Kill. We're going to discuss all of this. So let's go. Maybe Peter, going through the changes he's going through, is epigenetics, where a gene that was dormant is being activated because an environmental change from the incursions. I'm liking this theory. He has super strength himself, and he whacked Spider-Man with that uppercut. He literally knocked the spider sense back into Spider-Man. And I ain't nobody that gets no early access. Like I said, this is a street level podcast. So if you want somebody you can trust that's not going to be giving a bunch of crap away, you got to listen to your boy right here. First off, we're going to discuss the Spider-Man BND trailer. And oh my gosh, I'm so ready for July 31st. It's been a week after week thing before it came out. Like, when's it going to come out? It don't come out for just a few more months. Why aren't they releasing the trailer? And they finally did it. And I feel like they're giving us just enough to speculate, to get excited for it. But they're not showing too crazy much about the plot, which I love that because Marvel has a habit of showing way too much in their trailers. But so to start, it shows Peter Parker hanging upside down on a roof, watching a video of MJ and Ned celebrating getting into MIT. It makes it a point to show that the events in No Way Home are still impacting Peter, even though this movie is based 4 to 5 years later. I'm thinking there's probably going to be a montage scene, kind of like how Fantastic Four did, just showing them fighting a bunch of villains over the years. I think that's kind of what they're going to do with Spider-Man because they showed him fighting Tarantula. They showed him fighting Boomerang. They showed him fighting the Scorpion. They showed a lot of different villains and a lot of epic just cinematography that's actually replicating some specific comic book covers, which looks really sick. And so to get to that, I don't think the Scorpion would be in the montage. I think he's going to be in some events towards the end of the movie. And it also did show the Hand fighting Peter in his Spider-Man costume. He wasn't wearing his mask for some reason. They were fighting Peter in a prison, and then it showed them jumping off a building at him, at Spider-Man. And there was some blank space in that scene that a lot of people are speculating Marvel is buffing out the fact that maybe Daredevil is in that scene. Other parts of the trailer, it shows Peter coming to speak with Bruce Banner. And Bruce Banner reveals that Peter has a mutation and that it could be very dangerous. And I'm like, okay, they are fully leaning into this to help set up the mutant saga. Because Marvel is not just going to say mutation just for the heck of it. They know that the mutant saga is coming next. And it seems like they're planting seeds for that already. We barely caught a glimpse of what appeared to be Sadie Sink's character, which a lot of people speculate is Jean Grey. Which obviously, whoever the character is has some mind control powers. And I mean, with Sadie Sink already supposed to be rumored to be in Secret Wars, there's not many mind control people who have the star power that Jean Grey has that I feel like Marvel would want to put into Secret Wars. So it really makes sense that Sadie Sink would play Jean Grey. But yeah, I have speculation that the Scorpion scene, I think there's going to be some kind of big prison breakout. I think a political leader is going to purposefully have some prisoners breaking out to cause chaos on the streets. I believe that the Hand is going to be trying to go after Daredevil in the prison because he's a thorn in their side. And if Daredevil does get imprisoned by the end of Daredevil Born Again Season 2, that will put him on a really vulnerable spot. So I think that's kind of where the Hand gets involved. And I think as Peter is dealing with the prison breakout, I think he's going to realize that the Hand is going after Daredevil, and he's going to try to help them, and they're going to form more of an alliance. And I mean, that's not too far-fetched. I mean, Matt Murdock was already in Spider-Man No Way Home briefly, so I think they were just kind of giving us hints at what's to come in future movies, which I think in July, Daredevil and Spider-Man are going to be teaming up. So, yeah, and I think that Marvel, they just announced like the release date for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, and it goes literally right into the Punisher special presentation, which comes out on May 12th. And then that's going to lead into the Punisher's involvement with Spider-Man Brand New Day. And that's something else about that trailer. It shows that Peter and the Punisher, Frank Castle, already have what seems to be an ongoing relationship, because Spider-Man tells him, Frank, go home. He knows him by a first name basis. And I like that. That's something that the Superman movie did really well. It established an already lived in superhero universe. So I like the fact that Marvel's kind of seemingly leaning into that. Spider-Man and the Punisher already know each other. You know, I don't know that they have to really explain the whole backstory of that. We can expect that over the last 4 or 5 years, they've been fighting crime together. And you would think maybe him and Daredevil as well. So that's awesome sauce right there. And I do have some theories for this movie. A lot of people's theories with them mentioning that Peter has a mutation is, oh, Peter is going to turn into Man-Spider. And, you know, part of me doesn't doubt that, but I don't think that that's going to be the main part of this movie. I really don't think Marvel would do that and have him just losing control, turning into Man-Spider, and then leaving us hanging on that. I think that will be a plot point, but by the end of the movie, I'm pretty sure he'll get that figured out, because we can't have Man-Spider going into like Avengers Secret Wars. I don't know if he's in Doomsday, but we can't have him Man-Spider. Like, come on, we got to get Spider-Man in there and Peter be living at his peak. And I think that's the thing. He's just evolving to his best version of himself with his Spider-Man powers. And I have a theory that, to me, it makes sense. And I did hear Eric Voss from New Rockstars kind of talking about this. So I don't know if he got that from himself or read it, but there's a theory that all the heroes who have like a mutation, whether that came from some sort of mystical thing happening to them, causing their powers, or some kind of radioactive accident, such as Bruce Banner the Hulk, Spider-Man getting bit by the radioactive spider, or even Daredevil with his accident, the chemicals that got in his eyes heightened all of his senses. Maybe all of these heroes are all going through some changes as a result of epigenetics. And that's actually a real scientific theory that shows that some genes are dormant and they only get activated when an environmental change happens. So I'm thinking that a big environmental change going on in the MCU is the incursions. The multiverse, they're all colliding. And I think that maybe that is actually causing a trigger in all of these heroes. There's rumors that the Hulk is going to be appearing as Grey Hulk. Maybe as a result of epigenetics, he's turning into Grey Hulk, going through a change. Maybe the scene in the Daredevil trailer where Matt, his hearing is going crazy and he falls on the floor. Maybe that's a result of epigenetics. Maybe Peter going through the changes he's going through is epigenetics, where a gene that was dormant is being activated because an environmental change from the incursions. I'm liking this theory. And to me, it makes perfect sense. And, that could also be what triggers the MCU to start having mutants. all the mutants might be having their genes that were dormant being activated. Because that's the thing. Like, if the mutants have been around, a lot of people are asking, then where have they been this whole time? Maybe they were just having to have an environmental change happen before their powers came into place. And that could be also why Sadie Sink might be playing Jean Grey in this. And this is setting up the mutant saga, and I'm loving it. Now, let's talk about Daredevil Born Again and the implications it has to the wider MCU. So as I start to talk about Daredevil Born Again Season 2, I will say that I feel like the conversation can intertwine between Spider-Man, the Punisher Special, and Daredevil, because they're all appearing to be all tied together and gonna affect the broader MCU, which I'm loving because Marvel is moving towards a street level type of storytelling, because what's happening in New York is gonna affect the rest of the MCU. So Daredevil Born Again Season 2 started with an episode called The Northern Star, and it's referencing the first scene where Daredevil is raiding this ship that's called the Northern Star. It has all kind of shipment containers on it, and I guess Matt Murdock got the sense that there's something not good on this ship that he has to figure out and try to put a stop to. So as he's fighting all the guards, he gets to one of the containers, opens it up, realizes that there's tons, hundreds of thousands of high-tech weapons being shipped into the ports of New York, which the Kingpin is in control of because martial law is still in place and he's still the mayor and people are loving him apparently. But he figures out there's high-tech weapons, and as soon as they realize that Daredevil is on the ship, they have orders from their boss to sink the ship. The captain does, and his partner. So they do just that, or they try to. But the problem is the ship doesn't fully sink. It's still, part of it's floating on the river. So it's clear that they knew that the public cannot find out what is on this ship. There's a secret operation getting these high-tech weapons into New York, and Matt's realizing this, and it does show that Kingpin, like I said, the public is loving him for the most part. There's interviews from BB Urich where people were talking about how much of a good job he's doing as the mayor, and it ends up panning to this guy that Matthew Lillard, which a ton of people go crazy for Matthew Lillard. He's playing a character named Mr. Charles, and he's in a bar. He gets a call from someone who's apparently like his leader that he's working for. And in the background, there is a scene that pans to the White House behind him. And it ends up being revealed that Mr. Charles works for Val Allegra de Fontaine. So that scene alone, I want to focus in on that. Because like I said, this street level story is going to tie into the wider MCU. Why would they show the White House in the background? And that's a question you have to ask. After Captain America Brave New World, who's the president now in the MCU over the U.S.? It hasn't been revealed who the president is. So what is Marvel trying to plant seeds for? Sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic. What are they trying to plant seeds for? Are they going to show that maybe the Kingpin moves up into a more powerful position? Maybe becoming the president? Or are they showing that Val, who is already the head of the CIA, that she could get more powerful and become president? Because that's a plot point that they got to have figured out, I'm sure, and they will. But anyway, it shows Mr. Charles that he's working for Val, which I predicted months and months ago before any trailers came out. I said Val is going to help the Kingpin. I was seeing the vision already, way before the trailers. Come on now. Anyway, so it goes on to show Mr. Charles having a meeting with the Kingpin and with some other people who they're saying the Kingpin has to have more oversight because it wasn't really lawful the way that he declared martial law. Like, you don't do things like that. He didn't get that approved. So they're making it clear he's going to be having more oversight. And he knows who Mr. Charles is because they ask, who is this guy that just roamed into this meeting, like eating food and stuff? And Kingpin answers, Mr. Charles. So somehow he already knows this guy. And I have a theory that, like, Mr. Charles, he was acting so carefree, kind of disrespectful with the way that he was talking to Kingpin. No normal person would be talking to Kingpin like that. They get their neck snapped. So I think that the Kingpin knows that Mr. Charles is working for Val and that Val is more powerful than him. So Kingpin knows he can't do anything about Mr. Charles' disrespect. So that was an interesting dynamic. But basically, it goes on to show that Matt and Karen and some others, they're kind of running like a secret operation to, take Fisk down from the shadows. Just figuring out about their little dealings, messing up his little deals, and eventually messing up him as just being mayor. And the partner that Matt was running the law firm with, I forget her name. She gets offered to work for the DA's office, which is a government position who the Kingpin is the head of. She gets offered to work for the DA's office and she denies it. And the guy like flips her off, cusses her out. But it just shows that the Kingpin knows that they're figuring out some dirt on him, and he wants to get everybody in, like he wants everybody to be in control of him, or else he's going to get took down. So that was the main part of that episode that stood out to me. The trailers kind of gave it away that Bullseye and Daredevil were going to work together. And at the end, sure enough, Daredevil goes to save one of his guys that's working with him. And Bullseye rescues Daredevil. So that was cool to see. And we'll see what kind of action they got going on in the other episodes. But I do want to talk about the relationship between Val and Kingpin and the implications for that. So I'm thinking the weapons that are shipped into New York on the Northern Star are from Val's Ox company that's shown in the Thunderbolts, the research company that ended up being responsible for the creation of the Sentry. I think that they're the ones shipping these high-tech weapons for Val into New York. And because the Kingpin is the mayor and he's controlling these ports, they have an ongoing relationship. Val will choose not to look into the shady dealings of the Kingpin if he allows her to ship in these weapons into the ports. And like I've said before, I think Ox is Oscorp. I'm pretty sure that the main researcher for Ox is going to end up being Norman Osborn. And since their lab got burned down in Malaysia, that's the whole reason that we haven't seen Norman Osborn or Harry Osborn in the Spider-Man movies. But now that the lab in Malaysia is burned down, I think that they're going to be moving to New York, and Harry Osborn is going to get introduced because they just moved here from Malaysia, or to New York City, I should say. And yeah, so I think that that's what that is. I think Ox is Oscorp. And something I've mentioned time and time again in the past is Marvel gives hints for their live action future projects. They give hints on what's to happen by putting out things in their cartoons. So with this, in Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the cartoon, Daredevil is going after Norman Osborn. He knows the corruption he's got. So I think that they're setting up that in this Daredevil show, in a roundabout way, Daredevil is putting a stop to the corruption that Oscorp brings, which in Marvel, I think Ox is going to be revealed to be Oscorp. So I think they've predicted that with their cartoon, that's going to happen in the MCU. Daredevil trying to go after Oscorp, exposing them and their corruption. And also, another thing that same show predicted is a struggle for adamantium. Because Dr. Otto Octavius in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man cartoon, he wants adamantium. He thinks that's the future of technology. He realizes how valuable it is. And that's another ongoing plot in the MCU, is the Celestial that's hanging out of the ocean that's completely made out of adamantium. At the end of at the end of Captain America Brave New World, it's shown that all the presidents and leaders of these countries, they agree that this celestial hand, they're going to let all the countries get the resources of the adamantium. But that was when Ross was president. Like I talked about before, he's not president no more. He's in prison. If Val comes up to be president, or the Kingpin comes up to be president, they're going to want that adamantium for themselves. And if we look back to Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer, they're already seemingly doing research on mutants. It seems like they have Jean Grey in captivity doing research on her. So I think it's going to turn into a power struggle to where maybe Val or Kingpin is president. They send mutants like Wolverine and Sabretooth, similar to the Weapon X program. This is going to be the MCU's Weapon X program. They're going to send them to go claim the adamantium for themselves. But I think this is going to start introducing super soldiers, and they're going to have super soldiers from different countries, like a big war to go after this adamantium. Wolverine and Sabretooth working together with Mystique. Obviously, they're going to be recasted. And this is setting up the future movies. The Soviets can have Omega Red. Captain America, a recasted version, could be in there. There's a lot of super soldiers. Nuke. There's a lot of them, though. And I think that this is just the start. There's a power struggle. Val, Kingpin. This is going to affect the whole MCU. And that makes me curious why I said last week Val is the head of the CIA. In the Punisher show, a CIA agent by the name of William Rollins was over the Punisher's, this covert military group, and William Rollins, who was in the CIA, sent out the hit that ended up killing Frank Castle's family. So I think that Val maybe had ranking over William Rollins, and could that be Punisher's one last kill? Maybe he's trying to go after Val. And that's all I'm going to address with the Punisher thing, because I'm not sure about it, but John Bernthal did post a post about the name being Punisher One Last Kill, and in his caption he said, "Welcome back, Frank." And I got to talk about this. This graphic novel came out 2 weeks ago called Punisher Welcome Back, Frank, and it's got some statements from John Bernthal in it. So I think it's a planned thing. They released this graphic novel around this time, and I think they're letting people know that we're not going to be getting Punisher light because Disney takes over. This book shows a man getting eaten by piranhas. Punisher dips him in there. The dude gets eaten alive. Somebody gets torn apart limb by limb because they're lured into a polar bear enclosure. Punisher burns people up with a flamethrower. Like, it's super violent, and I think that they're just releasing this to remind people that Punisher is violent and that they're not going to be swaying away from that with the Punisher special. So, yeah. It's all going to flow together. And I love that Marvel's leaning towards the street level stuff, because I run a street level podcast. One day I'm going to be kind of getting my ranking up a little bit, but right now we're street level. One thing I meant to say about Spider-Man, though, is one thing I love about the Spider-Man Brand New Day, how it seems like it's going to be, is it's finally street level. And we're no longer getting Peter Parker asking, "Mr. Stark, when do I get my new suit?" Now it's like, oh crap, when am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to pay it? And it's just going to be awesome. And that's the thing, it's more relatable. And Spider-Man is depressed. Everybody's like, yes, Spider-Man is finally depressed. And I hate to say it, but that's when we're eating real good as Spider-Man fans, is when he's feeling low and depressed. And that's a good quote, though, by Stan Lee, is that anyone can wear the mask. Even you can wear the mask. And that's because Spider-Man is so relatable. So they're finally making him relatable, and I'm loving it. So I'm going to move on to talk about some WWE stuff. But stay tuned, because towards the end of this, I'm going to be doing a comic book overview that features a Spider-Man comic. So you're not going to want to miss that. But WWE, WrestleMania is in a few weeks, and it's heating up, man. Like, we got Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes feuding. Like, I talked about last episode how Randy attacked Cody. Cody told him, like, I want the best version of Randy. I want the one that's listening to the voices in his head. And he did exactly that. He mauled Cody, messed him up. Last night at SmackDown, they had their contract signing, and they're like going back and forth. And Jelly Roll gets in there trying to hold them back from each other. And Randy Orton RKO Jelly Roll. Come on now. The most 3 dangerous letters. RKO. But, and that's the thing. WWE, they're going to have a problem, though, if, like, when it comes to WrestleMania, they're not going to want 2 faces facing each other because the crowd is going to be so divided. But that's the thing. Randy's at the point he could do something messed up so bad. Everybody's still going to cheer for him. So I think they need to make him seem a little more like a heel. Even take it a step further. Maybe punt Jelly Roll. He needs to punt Jelly Roll. That's what I got to say. And then people are going to be like, oh, that was too far. Maybe get Jelly Roll out there trying to sing. Realize that he can't even sing good anymore. Imagine that storyline. Randy Orton ruined Jelly Roll's career. Nah, I'm just playing. I don't know if that's going to happen. But another thing, and this is coming from last night, Nick Aldis told Trick Williams that he is going to have a spot at WrestleMania, which I'm so excited about. Imagine the pop. Whoop that Trick. Like, that is like probably my favorite theme song I've heard in years. And so seemingly he was going to be facing Carmelo Hayes for the U.S. Championship, but freaking Sami Zayn beat Carmelo Hayes last night, but it's Trick Williams' fault. He got involved when he shouldn't have, and it backfired. He accidentally hit Carmelo instead of Sami Zayn. And now it's going to be Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams at WrestleMania, which I think that Trick Williams is going to win the title. And him and Sammy have had an ongoing feud. Like a month or 2 ago, he's like, Sammy, you like Charles Barkley, never getting to win the ring, and I'm Michael Jordan. I was like, oh man. He said, I'm Michael Jordan with my lemon pepper steppers. He's so good on the mic, and he's got aura. Let's see what else is happening. Another thing that I want to talk about is Kit Wilson. Like, the dude, he is killing it out there. These segments he's got. Last week he had like a rap battle with Jelly Roll, or he called it slam poetry. He says he does not battle with his fists. He battles with his words. And he really, like, WWE tried to put it out there like Jelly Roll just absolutely killed Kit Wilson with this rap battle or whatever. But no, Jelly Roll didn't do crap. Kit Wilson dissed the heck out of that man. He was like, you're fat phobic, toxic. I might even call you a jerk. But hey, at least we got proof Ozempic does work. And the freaking crowd's going crazy. Jelly Roll's little rap that he did, it was just inappropriate and dumb. It wasn't even good. Toxic! Jelly Roll, you are toxic. Like, watch your mouth, Jelly. We got little kids watching this show. But also Obafemi, he just keeps on taking out Brock Lesnar. Every time that they get Obafemi out there, he's throwing Brock over the top rope. And more people in the crowd are just starting to do the Obafemi walk. I don't think I do it right. But everybody's talking about how they showed so many kids in the crowd doing it. And that's how you know that there's a superstar in the making. Is when you got kids getting behind it. Oba. I can't do it. But, so, yeah, I'm excited for the next few weeks and excited for WrestleMania. I'm trying to think of anything I'm hoping for WrestleMania. Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu, their feud is heating up big time. I hope that they have just a crazy match. It was announced to be an unsanctioned match. So I hope that it's just an absolute brawl, really entertaining stuff, you know. WrestleMania season is always a good season. So that's the WWE stuff I'm going to talk about for today. Actually, one thing I do want to mention is WWE 2K. 26. I got it and I've been playing, and it's pretty good. The ragdoll mechanics are awesome, dude. Like, it looks like you're like getting your neck broke if you get thrown a certain way. Like, Big E was freaking, I was playing as Drew McIntyre and Big E was messing me up. That gameplay video is on my YouTube channel though, if you want to check it out. And I'm going to be posting more WWE 2K26 gameplays. I did a Chad Gable versus Brock Lesnar match to see who rules Suplex City. And I dominated that dude on Legend difficulty. Chad Gable is the new mayor of Suplex City. Thank you. And that's one thing I got to say to 2K. Get Chad Gable's rating up. Why are you going to give him like an 81 or 82? I think he deserves an 86 or 87. That's just me, though. Because he is one of the most technical, just smooth wrestlers that WWE's got. But yeah, tune into my gaming stuff on my YouTube channel because I'm pretty active on there and I don't want you to miss out. Yeah, so that's that. But we're going to move into the comic book overview for the day. Yeah, here we go with the comic book overview. This comic book overview is going to be about Spider-Man, the Hobgoblin saga. And it states on the cover that Spider-Man is getting help from someone that you wouldn't expect. And you see that big, massive man, Wilson Fisk, just hovering above him. So I'm wondering, when I started reading this, like, what is going to happen? So it goes on to show that J. Jonah Jameson gets a letter basically saying that he's getting blackmailed because he was involved with the creation of the Scorpion. Because he hates Spider-Man so much, he basically funded the research and the experiments to be put on Matt Gargan for him to become the Scorpion, because J. Jonah Jameson wanted someone who could defeat Spider-Man. So Scorpion went on to just be an absolute psycho, just committing a ton of crimes. So whoever sent this letter to J. Jonah Jameson is blackmailing him, saying that they know he was involved with the creation of the Scorpion. And then it pans to a party. And I want to highlight this, okay? That top right panel, that's Peter wearing that freaking tank top, like cut off. It says animal, which is kind of funny because he is Spider-Man. But that would probably say arachnid. Nah, I sound so cheesy right now. Anyway, he looks pretty funny in that. And it shows that Harry Osborn also is stressed out because apparently he's getting blackmailed. Somebody knows the secret that his dad was the Green Goblin, and they know the secret of all the crime that the Green Goblin was involved in. And at this point, I mean, Norman Osborn is like seemingly dead. Green Goblin is no more, but it's just that somebody knows a ton of stuff that they shouldn't be knowing. So Peter goes to check on Harry, seeing what's up. And Harry talks to Peter about how in the letter, it talks about this big meeting at this club. Harry basically got membership at this club because he inherited the membership from his father. It's a club with just a bunch of rich people. Like, they invest on things together. And J. Jonah Jameson is also in this club, and it tells all of them that there's a meeting at this penthouse at a specific time that they have to show up for, or all their dirt is going to get just shouted out to the public. So Peter agrees that he's going to go with Harry to the penthouse just to be supportive and be there for him while he's stressed. And as we're there, Harry is getting just real stressed, and he's telling Peter all the stuff he's stressed about at the penthouse. And Kingpin over here is at top left. He always looks so menacing, like so huge. Like, I wouldn't want to fight that guy. But yeah, Kingpin gets curious. He's like, what's going on over there? It makes it clear that he's not one of the people that was invited to this meeting, though. So they go in this building. Everybody's speed walking in there, seemingly stressed out because they don't know what the heck is up. And then the curtain opens when they're all sitting down, and it's the Hobgoblin. And he said that he brought him there. Well, J. Jonah Jameson starts to actually speak up against him, and all the people are like, Jonah, stop, Jonah, stop. But Peter, because he was at this penthouse, he didn't go in the meeting. He didn't go in the meeting with Harry, but he was kind of lingering outside. And when he realizes Hobgoblin is there, he runs and gets his suit. And, well, let me go back to this one. So it turns out, and I didn't add this panel, but Spider-Man jumps in there from the vents, punches this Hobgoblin, but it turns out it's a robot. They're all getting tricked. This is a robot that was programmed to say what it said. But then the actual Hobgoblin busts in there, and he's threatening all these people. And it's because they all have money and power, and Hobgoblin wants them all to give him money so he can get more technology. So Spider-Man goes chasing after the real Hobgoblin. Oh, actually, I did show. This is where the robot gets taken out. Actually got took out by Harry. My bad. I told that wrong. Harry took out the robot Hobgoblin. Then Hobgoblin, this is where he busts in there. Spider-Man busts out of the vents. They're fighting. Spider-Man's chasing him down. And the Kingpin is watching. And he seems concerned because he himself does some sketchy business. And if this Hobgoblin dude is going after powerful people with money, he gets a sense that maybe in the near future, Hobgoblin could go after him and try to get his money. So he's very concerned. And it goes on to show that Peter basically, he had got gassed by this special gas that the Hobgoblin has, which he actually, this is the thing about this story with Hobgoblin, he took over a bunch of Norman Osborn's old hideouts. He found them and claimed all of the stuff for himself. So he's using the Green Goblin's gas that makes Spider-Man's spider sense go away. And so at this time, now he's got the gas affecting him. He doesn't have his spider sense. And as the Hobgoblin is going to bust out to escape, Spider-Man slowly goes to throw one of his tracers onto the Hobgoblin so he can be able to track him. But he misses, and the tracer ends up going down to the Kingpin's foot. And as the Hobgoblin realizes that Spider-Man is so weak, he's like, I'm going to finish this dude off. This is actually my time. And next thing you know, whop, a big old platter whacks the Hobgoblin. And it turns out the Kingpin actually threw that platter and saved Spider-Man from getting taken out completely by the Hobgoblin. And it turns out Kingpin also grabbed the tracer that Spider-Man attempted to throw on Hobgoblin, and he himself threw the tracer on the Hobgoblin. And Spider-Man's all confused. He's like, why would you help me? And Kingpin ends up telling him, I would rather you nip this in the bud now than him affect my business dealings in the future. So that's why Kingpin got the tracer that Spider-Man's threw it on the Hobgoblin. So Spider-Man goes after Hobgoblin, but it turns out the spider sense that he has, it has to be active for these tracers to work, because the tracer, it's in tune to a signal that's perfectly in line with the signal of his Spider-Man sense. So the tracer seemingly isn't going to work good anyway, but still the Kingpin was willing to help Spider-Man. And see, that's what the Hobgoblin's talking about here. He's like, oh, they're dumb. Like, this ain't even going to work because his spider sense has to be active. So, but we know Spider-Man. He's like one of the smartest people in Marvel. And he ends up finding them anyway. And it's in one of the hideouts. And I'm going to go back to this for a second. It's in one of the old hideouts of Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. Hobgoblin has took over this hideout. And he has all the files that Norman Osborn had. There's files about people's identities. There's files about all kind of technology and, probably patents for certain like weapons and devices. It's all the Hobgoblins now. And he wants to use it to expand his criminal empire and make more money for himself. Spider-Man goes on to still find where he's at. They're fighting, and Hobgoblin gets this gun, or it's actually like a launcher. It launches like a bomb. He launches it at Spider-Man. Spider-Man dodges it, and it ends up blowing up all the records that the Hobgoblin had literally just attained from Norman Osborn. So he's devastated, like, no, you destroyed all my documents. He's like stressed big time. He's mad. So they go to fight. The Hobgoblin, this is actually it showing just that whole place blowing up with the records. The Hobgoblin starts going after Spider-Man in this battle van that he has, which is funny because in the Punisher, like in the Spider-Man trailer, the Punisher's got his own battle van, but in this, the Hobgoblin has a battle van, and he starts going after Spider-Man after Spider-Man had all the documents and the inventions get blown up that were the Hobgoblins. And so Spider-Man and Hobgoblin start fighting in this battle van. And it's revealed that Hobgoblin has a super strength himself. I guess he took like a serum similar to Norman Osborn. He has super strength himself, and he whacks Spider-Man with that uppercut. Whoppa! He literally knocked the spider sense back into Spider-Man. And he's like, oh my gosh, my senses are coming back. So next thing you know, Peter is boom, boom, wailing on him, bruh. And sure enough, he gets the job done. And this van, well, I'll go back to this. The Hobgoblin battle van crashes into a river and sinks. Spider-Man tries to dive down to save the Hobgoblin, so that he can get served real justice, But all he gets is he was able to find the mask. The Hobgoblin mask gets pulled up. And seemingly, we think, okay, Hobgoblin is dead. And for a while, apparently, he is, like, gone. Marvel waits years and years to ever show him again, from my understanding. So, Spider-Man confronts Jameson, and he's like, I took care of this. You don't have to worry no more about being blackmailed. But it turns out J. Jonah Jameson decided that he's actually going to step down from the Daily Bugle, and he makes a public statement on his involvement with creating the Scorpion, which there's some funny business with that. It ends up being revealed that he's actually still an advisor for the publications of the Daily Bugle. Like, he's very much still in power there, but it's just kind of a funny scene. Spider-Man's like, what? Jameson's stepping down? And then it pans to, it shows Peter basically swinging into Central Park, and he sees something that's kind of weird. And turns out, in Central Park, there's this building that was never there before. In this building, Peter's like, I gotta investigate this. This has never been here before. There's no way they could have built this in a few days. And he goes in there, and it takes him to another dimension. And this actually takes Spider-Man into the events of Secret Wars. It takes him directly into Battle World. And this is the last Spider-Man comic before Secret Wars and before he officially gets the black suit in Battle World. So I think that's a cool thing, because when Peter comes back in the future comics, that's when he's in his black suit arc. So this was a significant issue, which actually this was me covering 3 issues, but this one is specific. It's like significant. So I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, so this was Spider-Man, the Hobgoblin saga. It shows Kingpin using Spider-Man basically, It shows Hobgoblin literally knocking the spider sense back into Spider-Man. And then, like I said before, it shows Spider-Man's entrance into Secret Wars, which when he comes back, he's going to be wearing the black suit. So I thought that was really sick, and I'm glad y'all got to read that with me. So, like I said, that was the comic book overview, and I hope y'all enjoyed that. And as I'm going to be finishing up this episode soon, I'm going to just kind of talk about what's next with some things I have in mind in the near future that I might discuss on this channel. And first, I kind of got a little bit of something I want to talk about, though. So, with the release of Daredevil Born Again coming out, there's certain TikTokers and there's certain YouTubers who they're making videos talking about the release schedule, and the way they're talking is like, oh yeah, episodes 5, 6, those are heater episodes, basically hinting at the fact that they're getting early access to seeing these films. And don't get me wrong, like if you're that successful with your podcast or your little show, good for you. But don't be posting theories, making things seem like you haven't already watched it and saying this is your theory that you just came up with. Like, that's misleading. It's dishonest because you got early access. You already seen the film. It's not a theory at certain points. And that's where it gets a little tricky for me, and I don't think that's cool, really. Like, I got some beef with that. And it flashback to Captain America Brave New World. When it was coming out at the beginning of last year, there were these TikTokers who had early access to the film, and they're posting, this is my non-spoiler review of the movie. How many details can you give away about a movie and a film without it being a spoiler? Because in my opinion, y'all weren't releasing non-spoiler reviews. You were giving away details that people shouldn't have even known about until they actually got to watch the film. And how are you going to be posting your spoiler reviews like an hour after the movie was ever even in theaters? Nobody's had time to watch the movie yet. Don't ruin the experience for us just because you want a bunch of views. Like, maybe give it a couple weeks at least. I don't know, man. I got some beef with it. Like, I think people are misleading. You want to say you got theories, but you've already seen the whole show, and you're posting non-spoiler reviews, but in reality, you're spoiling the movies. Like, you're spoiling the shows. So, I just want y'all to know with this podcast, this is the 2020 Visions podcast, where I see the visions with these things, and I post theories that I come up with. Sometimes it comes from Reddit, but a lot of times it's ones that I come up with. And I ain't nobody that gets no early access. Like I said, this is a street level podcast. So if you want somebody you can trust that's not going to be giving a bunch of crap away, you got to listen to your boy right here. Because I feel like I'm doing it the right way. It might not be the fastest way to get views and, get more people to watch, but slow but steady. That's my mindset. And as far as things I've been reading lately, like I said, I had ordered this. I pre-ordered it. Punisher, Welcome Back, Frank. And the art in this is just absolutely sick, dude. It's such a good book. I might have to do like a comic book overview about it. It shows the scene where Punisher gets Daredevil on the roof. Dang, I can't even find it right now. Oh yeah, I can. So I might have to do a comic book overview about this. I mean, the art is just absolutely stunning. And also something else I've been reading. I did a comic book overview about Old Man Logan towards the beginning of my podcast. It was like technically still Wolverine comics, but it led into the Old Man Logan storyline. But then recently I read this, which is like the first 6 issues of Old Man Logan. That's really good. I want to dive into that because now I'm on the app, like reading other issues, because there's actually 50 issues of Old Man Logan, and it's super good. It talks about like basically this Old Man Logan, Wolverine, he seeps into the main Earth 616 universe, and he ends up helping when it comes to Doom, like ruling Battle World. Wolverine, Old Man Logan wants to help kind of get to the bottom of things, and it's cool just seeing all the things he gets revealed, and he's figuring out that reality is not how it seems. My shirt, it's my Ninja Turtles shirt. I purposely wore that today because something I want to talk about in the future, and I want to buy it and read it first, obviously, is the Last Ronin comics, which is like a darker Ninja Turtles storyline that I've never read. I've heard a lot about it. I think I'm going to buy that sometime soon, read it, and then we can go over that on here. And also there's rumors about a Last Ronin video game. I want to talk about that sometime soon. And yeah, with my channel though, I'm starting to dive into making like some shorter form content as well, like making little 1 to 2 minute videos, just talking about things I'm noticing with these movies and gaming. Like I'm talking about the Punisher stuff, the Daredevil stuff. Like I did one talking about some Star Wars stuff the other day. So tune into my channel, like and subscribe, because we're going to be having short form content and long form content like this podcast. And I don't want you to miss out because we see the vision out here, and I love doing this. Like you're going to see the passion into this when you're watching me. But yeah, I just hope y'all had a great week this week, and I really appreciate you tuning in to the 2020 Visions podcast. We're going to be diving straight into all of this stuff with the MCU, all this gaming stuff. Like we're all in with this thing. It's a street level podcast, but I'm about to get my ranking up, baby. And I'm glad y'all are here to witness it. And yeah, feel free to comment anything, any suggestions, just anything. I love any kind of engagement. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode and some of my shorter form content. See you guys.